at this guy. Ow.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I am C.
I am P.
And today we're going to be reacting to Jordan Peterson, Toxic Femininity.
He is,
Finally, you know, it's all toxic masculinity everywhere. But today Jordan's going to drop some facts about toxic femininity. Let's do this. Go ahead.
He's what is it a podcast?
Triggernometry. I don't know. It's probably a channel or a podcast. I'm not sure what it is.
He's joining these people on their channel and discussing toxic
femininity. Femininity is kind of like hard to say. Femininity.
With these people.
Yeah.
So it should be interesting because it's a little swap. I think we discussed with one of our videos on here with toxic masculinity. So now we're doing femininity. Sorry, I can't say that word. So it should be interesting. Like we always say in all of our videos, after the reaction, please comment below. Tell us what you think about the reaction. Tell us what you think about the discussion and your own thoughts to it. We love reading the comments and having discussions and debates with you guys. It's really what our channel's all about. Like and subscribe. Remember, we're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers and we need your help. Help us get there.
All right.
Also, hit that bell so you can get notified for all our videos coming up. Okay? Let's go in.
Yep.
About 3 years ago, I was interviewed by The Economist, and we were talking about aggression. And I said that men are, on average, more aggressive than women, or they're more physically aggressive. So among children, for example, boys are more likely to kick, hit, bite, and steal. And that's not a bad operationalization of aggression, let's say. And then if you look within boys, a small proportion of the boys are that way at 2. Most of them get socialized out of it, but those that don't are stably antisocial and criminal into the adolescence and adulthood. And then that burns out around 27, 28. That's the developmental trajectory of aggression. Doesn't look like it's learned. Okay, so however, there's something else, so that's interesting enough. It's like, it's there at 2. It's a rage circuit. It's an old biological circuit, and it gets controlled. And most aggressive kids are socialized by the time they're 4. And if they're not, you can't socialize them after that. That's also very interesting and rather disheartening. But women, girls, however, they are more aggressive than males if you measure aggression differently.
Before he continues, I think what I was going to talk about is how people try to put men and women in the same thing, like we measure them the same, but men show aggression different than women show aggression usually. Men aggression is more like, you know,
more
physically. I think what I was going to say is women's aggression is like different. It's more like psychologically
I think, I was just about
emotionally
to say, women's
abusive.
aggressive more with their speaking.
Yeah, their speech.
They have a way to
beat you up aggressive
with their words.
Exactly.
Where men are a little bit more physical.
And that is harder to, like, you know, in a relationship they say men are the one who's more of the aggressive, more of the, you know, abusive ones. But
mental abuse is worse than physical. Because
a lot of times the woman will mentally abuse the guy, whatever, but how can you, there's not really like a mark in the, in the body you can prove it. So you can't really prove that. So, you know, so that's kind of hard to measure how a lot of men are being abused, like emotionally or whatever, but you can't really prove it. And even if you say you are being abused emotionally, they're gonna be like, why are you a bitch? You're a man, why can't you be abused by a woman? You know what I mean? That's kind of part of it too, but let's continue. Exactly. Passive aggression and all that thing. Actually, personally, you know, girls, they're more likely to gossip about you than guys. Guys will be like, you know what, let's go outside and just, you know, square it off. But girls might to be like, hey, should I get over there? And then before you know it, although everybody knows about something you don't even do, but everybody else thinks you do it. You know what I mean? That's like repetition destruction.
Yep.
Women usually
they spread rumors,
exactly.
They lie. They'll try to break you down.
Exactly, emotionally, psychologically. But men would just be like, listen, man, bah! you know, and then it's done.
And they'll isolate you too. They'll make it so none of your friends want to be friends with you.
And that's more harmful than a physical.
Because
physical
that
aggression.
Creates depression and
mental issues. Exactly, mental issues.
Yep.
I think women are more vicious in their psychological manipulation and their aggression. Because men, you hit somebody, boom, boom, it heals. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, some guys will fight. And right after the fight, they're like,
I was just about to say,
they're cool.
I was gonna say, with men, when they'll fight physically and then they're square, exactly. It's done. Women, they'll have their cat fight, even if it does come down to blows, they'll have their fight, and then it will last for months, sometimes years.
Exactly, and trying to talk to you about other people and all that stuff. But let's continue though.
Differently, they use reputation destruction. So, well, we've seen what happens with social media. Physical aggression doesn't translate to social media. But reputation destruction, that translates to social media unbelievably well. So maybe it's time to have a little chat about toxic femininity.
See how you said that?
Well, there we go. Jordan, I've got a little piece of paper here with some of the questions we were going to ask you. And the next one on my list is, why do people hate you? I think you've answered that.
Why? So actually, why do you think? Why do you think? I mean,
well,
look,
I was going to ask you this.
But what would you point to?
Well, let me ask you this, because I think this is an important part of it. Helen Lewis, who's interviewed you and who wrote a review of your book, she hates you. I've met Helen Lewis, and she's interviewed me, and of all the things you might say about her, you wouldn't say that she was stupid, and you wouldn't say that she was poorly educated. Right?
So I might say that.
He's serious.
I was being generous.
She took advantage of the education.
He's serious though. He's not joking about that. He's
That's
serious.
why I love him. He's very straightforward, and he's honest.
Exactly.
Yeah, that she hates me.
She's
I'm a
educated.
hateable person.
Yeah, she's fully educated. You know what I mean?
Why do you think people hate me?
Exactly.
Let me know.
Education that was offered.
And you wouldn't say that she was poorly educated. Right?
So I might say that.
Don't laugh at me, serious.
I was being generous.
She took advantage of the education that was offered to her, but I wouldn't. But education is so corrupt that mastering it makes you an expert at nonsense.
Touche. I'll accept that. But let's just go with the she's intelligent point. So she should be able to understand your arguments, and I'm sure she does. And yet I notice time after time where an intelligent person, even Kathy Newman, you wouldn't say that she's stupid, and lots of others, come after you with a vitriol and a visceral, you can feel it. You can, when you're watching.
You should be there.
Yeah, right.
Well, when I went to the GQ interview, look, I've got to say, when I went to the Kathy Newman interview, Kathy Newman was very professional. We met in the green room beforehand. She was perfectly polite. In a professional sort of way, but that's fair enough. Professional politeness beats the hell out of, random rudeness. So I'll take it. When I walked into the GQ interview, and I was already pretty worn out at that point. There was a photo shoot first and then the interview. And that place was hostile right from the moment I walked in. And so I'm kind of on edge in that interview because I could feel that. And it was like, the stage was set long before I walked into that. And so there wasn't even professional politeness. It was, people can freeze up a room. Some people are really good at that. I think maybe it has to do with smell. I lived with someone once, and you could tell if they were upset when you walked into the house. You get kind of an uneasy feeling. And the only explanation I have for that is that it's related to smell at some unconscious level. In any case, the GQ interview atmosphere was unbelievably tense. And I was sort of in there for 45 minutes before I started talking. So I was already in the position of a cat who hears dogs barking down the street. So
you think that, like this, they mentioned before that these people he's interviewing him are smart people, right? They're not dumb. So they're logically able to understand his arguments. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Do you think they purposely trying to misconstrue these arguments because they have an agenda? Mm-hmm. Or they don't want other people, they agree with him, they don't want other people to bash them for agreeing with him. So they purposely twist his arguments in a way that other people won't judge them for agreeing with him. Or they act like they don't understand, or they try to misconstrue it.
Well, he mentioned once, he was interviewing a lady, and he actually mentioned once during the interview to her that she's a very smart lady, and she's doing her job, which is trying to catch me off guard. So she's throwing stuff at him, and twisting her words and saying the same thing, but in different ways 5 times. Because that's her job, to try to catch him off and try to make him slip and try
that's what sells, you know.
So because she, I think at the end of the interview, she was like, "I hope I wasn't too hard on you. You were great, blah blah blah." And he actually said that to her. He was like, "No, that's your job. You're supposed to hit me with those things."
Yeah, but that's
so. I think it depends on the person who's giving the interview. Some people, like he said, are professionally polite. And they're just doing their job. And
that was before they got into the interview, though. That was similar to before.
Yeah.
But my point is, that is fine. We're trying to like figure out what's going on, ask some hard questions. That's fine. But what I'm saying is, when like Kat Newman, right? She's a smart woman. She got where she is now. You have to be smart to get where she is in that moment, right? These arguments he was throwing at her, I think she could understand them. I think she's smart enough to understand his arguments. But as you saw in the interview, she's always trying to twist his arguments into something else.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Sometimes that's their job. Their job is to twist things and manipulate things to try to catch him off guard or to have him slip.
That's what I'm saying.
So she could have just been doing her job.
On purpose? Did that on purpose? Or did they really not understand his arguments?
I think it depends on the interviewer. I think in her case, she was doing it on purpose because that's her job.
Yeah, because she understood what his arguments were. She did it on purpose because she didn't want,
She needed to be able to try to catch him off guard, say it in a bunch of different ways, so that way everybody who's viewing her show, she mentioned the argument in different ways so everybody could understand. You know what I mean? I think. I'm not 100% on that.
I think there's a difference between like throwing hardball questions and like relentlessly saying, so what you're saying is, and then saying the opposite of what he actually said. I think he understood what he was saying. I think she was there with an agenda. So whatever he threw at her, she found, because she's so smart, she found a way to twist it to make it sound wrong. I think that's what she was doing. I think there's a difference between hardball questions. I think that's her job. So I'm saying, I think what she mentioned before about the girl throwing hardball questions are different from what Kisin Newman did. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no. I said to twist things and to repeat the same question, but in different formats.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I don't know Kisin Newman personally. I don't know if she really was trying to do that. That's just my thought. Okay, I don't know everything. Let's continue.
And I was sort of in there for 45 minutes before I started talking, so I was already in the position of a cat who hears dogs barking down the street. So, in any case, it still isn't obvious to me what it is that causes such animosity.
Well, let me posit a theory, Jordan, because this is what I really wanted to ask you. You tweeted the other day when Helen Lewis published her review of your book, you said, "Why do you hate me? I've tried to be a good man." And I replied saying, "I think you've answered your own question." And my fear is, and my question to you is, do you think that fundamentally, you mentioned toxic femininity. I don't like to get into this whole gender thing in that way, because the whole gender war is a stupid thing to me, as far as I'm concerned. But I do think it's possible that we live in a society where some people, those people that I'm talking about, they don't want strong men. They don't want men to be better. They want men to be weaker. And they see you as an agent of change who helps men to be better. And they are scared of that.
Well, if you've had bad experiences with men, and, that's probably the universal female experience, right? Because we all fall short of the ideal. And of course, that's deeply disappointing to women, just as women who fall short of the ideal are deeply disappointing to men.
It's both genders.
But let's say you've had less than ideal relationships, perhaps with any man in your life. It might make it very difficult for you to distinguish between authority and power, right? Because if authority is misused, it looks like power, and misused power is tyranny. And so the best thing to do in the case of misused power is to reduce the power. And if authority and competence never enter the issue, never enter the question, then you don't ever think you're sacrificing something. You're just dampening down the possibility of tyranny. This is partly why the oppressive patriarchy narrative is so distasteful to me. It's like, look, fair enough, you know. I mean,
I'm gonna mention the patriarchy. I think the reason, well, a lot of women, like, I think he has a point when saying women wanna, like, you know, don't want men to become powerful, to become great, because they did this story, like, let's say you have a bad experience with men, right? And when people say powerful men, they think of like Hitler, and you know, they always think of like the negative parts of being a powerful man. Never the positive parts of being a powerful man. You know what I mean? Because I'm pretty sure if you as a girl name, you know, powerful men, then I gonna think of, you know,
Martin Luther King Jr.
It's George Washington, the people who did good things.
Abraham Lincoln.
Exactly. They think of, like, you know, people who've done bad. I think they have a disconnect from power to, like, powerful men are always bad. I think they have that thought in their heads.
It's like power.
You know what I mean?
Powerful men equals evil.
Exactly. When it's not necessarily the case. Your personal experiences might make it seem like that's the case, but it's not always the case.
I also think that they're afraid of, like, history repeating themselves.
Well, if you give men power, they're gonna, like,
that
terrorize.
women were suppressed back in the day, and men had this power and they had this control over us and all this stuff. And now that we're out of it, it's like that constant fear that we're gonna get back to it. And I think that's what's stopping us from realizing
working together and, like, should make it better.
Yeah, if we just work together, we'd be able to make a better world where there's powerful men and powerful women building a life together to make society a better place, instead of this ongoing fight of who's more powerful or who's being suppressed and who's making more money and stuff like that.
Yeah, let's continue.
The oppressive patriarchy narrative is so distasteful to me. It's like, look, fair enough, you know. I mean, every hierarchical system has its tyrannical aspect. And you might say, well, let's get rid of hierarchies. It's like, no, sorry. You can't even see without a hierarchy, because you have to decide what you're going to look at. And you privilege what you're looking at over all the things you aren't looking at, and you produce a value hierarchy instantly. There's no escape from that unless you could equally attend to everything all the time, which you can't. So you're stuck with hierarchies. There's no escape from them. That doesn't mean they're universally benevolent, because they're not, and they get warped by power. But just because they get warped by power doesn't mean that that's their essence. Authority is their essence, and that's competence, right? But if you can't distinguish those two, well, then it's all out assault on anything that looks like power.
If anyone didn't understand what he meant by, like, hierarchies are everywhere. But let's say you're deciding between going to school or going to smoke weed. Which one you choose, that's gonna be higher in the hierarchy than the other one. So whatever choices we make, there's automatically an hierarchy to it. You know what I mean? If you decide you want to work at McDonald's or work at Google. Most people want to work at Google instead of McDonald's. So there's a natural hierarchy to everything we do. There's no escaping it. You know what I mean? And also, like, let's say you had a job, right? And we got you the best person for the job. Wouldn't you want a hierarchy of somebody who's smart, you know, capable, who's, you know, kind? Just want them to be the boss instead of somebody who's an asshole or who's dumb, you know, and who is, you know, clumsy. Probably don't want that guy to be the boss, right? You want the guy who's smart, you know, to be the boss. So there, America is a hierarchy there. If you're smart and kind and loyal and, you know, you're gonna automatically be more valuable than people who are less like that. You get what I mean? There's automatically an hierarchy there.
I think the word hierarchy is kind of like the word power. As soon as people hear that, they just hear evil.
If so it's high up in the hierarchy, you're automatically evil.
You're evil.
You know what I mean?
Just you have power, you're evil. Your hierarchy, evil.
Like the rich, if you're rich, then you automatically have to do something evil. or something bad
it's
to
like
get
they
that money.
picture that guy twisting his mustache like.
Exactly. If you're rich, you automatically do something bad to become rich.
Exactly.
But most people who become rich provide value to the world, and the world pays them for that value. That's why they become rich.
It's also
You know what I
going
mean?
back to grouping. You're grouping people and just deciding that they are bad.
Yeah.
All rich men are bad.
Yeah.
All powerful men are bad.
Like Bill Gates, he didn't become rich because he was bad. He became rich because he created Microsoft. Most of all, use Microsoft on the computers. He provide value to society. Society, give him money. That's how it works. I'm not saying I'm not saying Bill Gates hasn't do bad things, but most of the reason why he's powerful is not because he like corrupted his way into power. I'm saying mostly it's because he provides value to people.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
Let's continue.
Competence, right? But if you can't distinguish those two, well, then it's all out assault on anything that looks like power. So, and there's definitely there's a huge element of that. It's so unfortunate because you see then that boys get punished for their ambition, and because that looks like the route to power. I had friends who were so guilty about their ambition that, well, in one case, it killed him. What? He committed suicide. Now, he had his problems, but one of them was that he was unbelievably guilty about being white, about being an oppressor, about any human activity, because he associated that with the despoiling of the planet. And it's not like we don't hear that story over and over and over.
Yeah, if you think about it, there's a lot of white men who are depressed, who feel guilty every time they make a step forward in their life, because we as society are calling them pieces of shit every single day.
Like if you're white and you're powerful, you're automatically bad.
If you're a white man who's powerful, you're automatically you suck. You're gonna.
And the white people have like guilt. You heard about the thing where they were like kneeling in front of black people? You heard about that? Was it kneeling or was it like whatever it was? Or kissing black people's feet? I don't know. It was something about the white people was doing. It's like we make white people feel like they have to have such guilt for what their ancestors did. That they gotta do that. It's like that's not the way to solve the problem.
No.
You know what I mean? It's like
you're making their lives so much harder too. This white person who you made feel so guilty to the point that they committed suicide, they could have been the cause. They could have been able to cure cancer.
You know what I mean?
And you destroyed that from happening because you wanted to suppress them so much for shit that their ancestors did 100 years ago.
It's crazy. I think we gotta pull out the ambition out of everyone. If the ambition is good and leading towards something like great,
I think we have to
pull it out of everyone, because that's what's gonna make us. What's gonna cure water hunger and clean water for everyone and cure those diseases. We gotta bring people who wanna do these things. We gotta be like, you can do it. You gotta do what you think is right and follow your path.
Start judging people based off of their individual person. Stop judging people based off of their ancestors or based off of their grouping that they're in. Because not every single person is evil like the people in the past or like the people of their grouping. Some of them are good, decent people that are trying to bring good things, not just to themselves and their family, but to society and their community.
Yeah,
and you're stopping them from doing that. So
I think we have to get out of this white male, it's like, come on, people.
Yeah, white men suck.
Toxic white men, whatever.
The average white man is racist.
I think it goes toxic white men, then men, then I think.
Then it's white women.
Yeah, then it's white women. Yeah.
Then it's Asian women.
Oh my god.
And then it's black women. Or Asian and black women might be.
Yeah, I think it's go white men. Then men in general, whatever gender you are,
men,
whatever race you are, all men. Then it goes to women.
White women.
You know what I mean? Then it goes down to every ethnicity you can find. So it's crazy how we have this
ugly pyramid.
Exactly.
Of hatred, pretty much.
Exactly, of hatred. Exactly.
For like no reason, really. No reason. You're hating people based off of things that happened in the past and based off of the grouping of that individual, whether it's a white man grouping or a powerful men grouping or black men grouping, just because.
If you're a rich white man, you're done. Like,
you're dead. You're like, seriously.
You have to do
good luck, because nobody's gonna like you. Pretty much, you have no friends.
Alright, guys. Jordan Peterson, he always bringing the facts.
And always makes us talk. So.
Yeah, it's gonna make us talk, ramble on.
Like he draws out so much discussion and so much thought with every sentence that he says. If he's not making you think like we're thinking,
I don't know what's
then I don't know what you're hearing.
Alright, guys. So you done?
I think so.
Yeah. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification to make sure you get our newest videos. Did I miss anything? Comment, subscribe. I said all that.
Alright, see ya.
Peace.